Saturday Social is powered by EA Sports FIFA 23 with PlayStation.
Right, big news in the week concerning Liverpool, Joe. Many reports stating that the club have ruled themselves out of the potential signing of Jude Bellingham. Got a lot of people talking that, didn't it, on social media? And this is what their manager, Jurgen Klopp, had to say this week.
I never understood why we constantly talk about things we theoretically cannot have. So we cannot have 6 players in a summer for everybody's 100 million, for example. Everybody would say that, okay, that's kind of clear. So, and that's the thing, you have to realize what you can do, and then you have to work with that. So how much money do we have available, and then you have to work with that. And that's the job you have to do. And it's not about, we are not children. When I ask a 5-year-old at Christmas, what do you want for Christmas? And I tell you, I want to have, I don't know, a Ferrari. You wouldn't say, oh, that's a good idea. You would say, no, it's too expensive, and anyway, you cannot drive it. So, that's how it is. If this kid is then the whole life unhappy because he cannot get a Ferrari, that would be a really sad life. It's just what can you make, what can you do, and then you do it.
Got to say, always entertaining, Jurgen Klopp, isn't he? Yeah. Great quotes there. But it has got a lot of people talking, as we said, because of Liverpool's form this season compared to last season. A lot of people pointing out to the fact that Liverpool perhaps do need reinforcement. So let's look at that comparison. This was at this stage last season, at the same period of time. Liverpool 69 points, a point off top, and of course they were fighting on 4 fronts. They were talking about possible quadruple. We had Paul Machin here talking about potentially one of the greatest sides in Premier League history, Liverpool, last season. Of course, they went on to win 2 and they finished runner-up. Compare that to this season, 8th in the table, 25 points worse off than last season, and 29 points behind leaders Arsenal currently. So it's been a huge turnaround in fortunes, and with that in mind, we've given our guests a task, Joe, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. You have quite a lot of unhappy Liverpool fans at home during the week about signing. So today we've set our guests the challenge of producing 5 signings for Liverpool to make this summer to get them back up to where they've been over the last few years, in and amongst the title conversation. Now, with Jude Bellingham supposedly and reportedly off the table, that frees up the funds to spend on a number of different players. So you've been able to pick whatever positions you want, whatever names you want. But they've got to be realistic, you know. We can't sign Haaland, Mbappe, Messi. They've got to be realistic names for Liverpool this summer off the back of those Jurgen Klopp quotes. So we've got 5 names you put forward. Let's start with both of your first names.
Can I just say, Dave looks really serious on his photo, doesn't he? Like, Theo looks like he's enjoyed it. Dave's a really serious photo. Dave's taking it seriously.
I took this very, very seriously. Jurgen mentioned that he couldn't get a Ferrari, so I've got some Vauxhall Corsas in my pile. Nice and cheap, reliable, going to do the job. So that's what we've gone with.
Available.
OK, so who have you gone for to start with?
So first up, we have the main man, Yukinari Sugawara.
Right back.
Right back.
Have you got a right back in your pile that you want to stick up?
I do have a right back.
Stick him up.
Should we start with it?
Because I want to see who you've got to compare with.
Now, this is a very interesting pick. You said realistic. It probably is difficult to say it is, but I think they should go for him. It's João Cancelo. The best on the market who could be available in the summer. And considering Arsenal got 2 players off Man City last summer, which has put them to Premier League title charges, I still think they've got a chance of getting him. Bayern are not going to extend his contract, so I think it's possible that Liverpool could put a bid in. And the way City run, they allow the player to go where they want to go. And I feel like Trent needs pushing for his right-back role.
So just on that quickly, you think that is a realistic signing? Obviously, Man City on loan at Bayern. You think that is a realistic? Is that aided by the fact that you saw the reaction he got? Because it was surprising, wasn't he? He came on as a sub midweek, and there was a section, not saying it was all of the fans, but there was a section that booed him as he came on. Does that make you think maybe he might not be at Manchester City next season?
Smithy, currently he's getting booed by City fans. He's getting benched by Pavard at Bayern. He can't get into the team over Davis or Alphonso Davis and Pavard on the other side. So with that versatility, I think it'd be perfect for Liverpool. I think pushing Robbo and Trent for a position, of course, it's going to be difficult for City to create a deal with Liverpool, but he's the best in the market, and I think he's going to go somewhere special in the summer.
Dave,
so benched by Bayern Munich, benched by Manchester City.
Are you questioning his quality?
Liverpool getting a player that may be on the decline. We've seen a few players that they've re-signed on contracts, the James Milners of the world. They need to go for youth, 22 years old, Japanese international, 9 assists in the Europa League and Eredivisie this season. When searching for fullbacks, this is the Trent model. Crosses, passes, creativity. This is the guy that popped out. And again, we only met him a few days ago. But watching him, I think he's got the quality. Not there yet as a player, but potential. And at 22, I think Liverpool need to go away from signing the big player. They need to go back to what worked really well, signing unknown players from competitions and then growing them as players under Jurgen Klopp. And I agree that the issue with Trent is he's got to go into midfield. You can't play him at right back anymore, so you do need a new right back. Joao Cancelo is a brilliant footballer. I don't deny that fact. But is he on the down? This kid is very much on the up.
Dave's going there. Move him into midfield. Dave, a year ago you were saying he's going to be the greatest right back in football history.
But then you have to
on
move
this very
with
show,
the, you have
this
to move
player
with the
in that
times.
very scene.
You have to move with the times in terms of you look at a player's development over a season. I said that last season. You could not deny that, right? But the fall off this season defensively has been too big.
Is that Cancelo?
You look at
this
is
is
Trent.
Dave said Trent would be the greatest right back.
And I still think he could.
But
I think he could
one
go
thing
back
for
to
sure,
that.
we both agree that they need to.
Oh, absolutely.
They've spent zero pounds since 2021 on fullbacks. They need to invest. Either player would do. I like your ideology of going for younger talents. I don't know too much about your player. I haven't watched him this season, but I'm sure he's got lots of potential, and that's the kind of style Liverpool should be going down.
Are you saying here that you think Trent needs competition, or that Trent should be moved completely out of the right back role into a different role, and then they should sign a right back to play right back?
Into midfield, because the midfield is the biggest weakness. I think we've both got loads of midfielders, and I think having Trent in that position, changing his role, and there's a lot of criticism about, it's tighter in there. He can't play back to goal. He played in midfield through his youth career. He knows how to play that role. He's one of the most technically gifted players in the Premier League. 100% could play midfield.
There was definitely some tweaks at the weekend against Arsenal. I think it was pretty clear that you were using Trent as an inverted fullback there, and he was dropping into that midfield space. And I personally haven't seen that happen for Trent a lot this season.
The issue with that, I think, in a sense, is that's like a Zinchenko position for Arsenal. That position is very much about controlling the game, controlling the tempo. What would you say Trent's biggest qualities are?
Smashing long balls 60 yards across the pitch, crosses.
I'd say final third crosses. So in the attacking structure, you actually want him higher, you don't want him low. So that would be my concern with Jurgen Klopp going to that. Look, he could do it, 100% could do it. But I want Trent in the final third. The assist he got against Arsenal was brilliant. I think we don't talk about that. The little nutmeg, the cross to the back post. Fantastic. You want Trent high, get him in midfield, play him like a Kevin De Bruyne role where he's going to inside constantly, going to cross a lot. I think would be great.
Okay, let's load to you. You both mentioned midfielders there. I think you've both got a midfielder. I think I can see Caicedo. And you got Paulinho.
Yes, I do.
Thogden, so two players that we're very familiar with who play in the Premier League.
That's a great comparison here.
Yeah.
Caicedo.
Do you want to go first?
My only downside with Caicedo is the price tag. 80 million we're looking at. And if Jude Bellingham's off for a similar price, then João Paulinho is the perfect bargain deal. He's got the most tackles in the Premier League. He's signed from Fulham, who are a championship promoted team, and now they've been flying. Of course, they've had a bit of a hiccup recently, but there was one stage where they're going for Europe. I think he's got 109 tackles, the only player to get triple figures.
Yeah, 106 tackles, but you're right.
106 tackles, yeah.
Tackles in the Premier,
more than anybody else. He's an under. You ask any Fulham fan, they'll say this guy every week consistently keeps us in games, and I think that's what Liverpool should be picking up.
I think it's a good shout. I said on this show, I think he's been one of the most underrated players in the Premier League this season many weeks ago. I think he's been so consistent.
But why would Fulham sell him for a low amount? He's on a long-term contract. They've just signed him for, what is not a small amount for Fulham, 20 plus million pounds from Sporting. As you said, he's maybe their most crucial player, probably their player of the season. We talk about other players moving for 80 million. Why would they deal at 50 million pounds when he's the most crucial player keeping them in the league?
Just comparing Caicedo, he's younger. Paulinho is 27 years old. Yeah. And he's going to bring instant qualities. He doesn't have as many years left as Caicedo, so the price tag is instantly lowered for that reason. And you said price tag. It was actually under 20 million. I think it's one of the bargains in the Premier League.
Yeah,
incredible. Look, it's going to be difficult for them to agree a price tag. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I'm just saying he'd be a great and realistic signing for Liverpool to make.
The issue is Liverpool need a holding midfielder.
Yeah.
Caicedo's a holding midfielder. Paulinho's more of an aggressive 8. And that's the situation. If he in midfield, I think he'd be a great option as an 8. But as a 6, Caicedo has everything that you want. The lighthouse position, as they call it in Liverpool, Pep Lijnders, Jurgen Klopp, it needs to be someone that's super dominant, that controls the tempo, that can read the play. That's Caicedo, it's not Paulinho. Paulinho's not great with the ball at his feet. When you're looking at the stats from a Caicedo perspective, how he's grown and how, you look at his pass accuracy, long pass accuracy around 80%, short pass accuracy is 82%. Two great stats. You compare that to what they've got Fabinho at the moment, blows them out of the water. But the big one that I was looking at with that, dribblers tackled. So when players are carrying through the middle, making that tackle, Fabinho this season's around 37%. Paulinho will be a similar number to that. Caicedo's 62%. This guy is so good at the base of midfield. I think he'll be one of the best midfielders in the world of football at a point. And the price tag, cheap. Very, very expensive. My other options are quite cheap. So I think Liverpool should. I don't think Liverpool should have gone with Jude Bellingham. I don't think that's the biggest problem. I think Fabinho is the biggest issue at Liverpool at the moment. Signing someone that can play DM but could also play in the midfield roles is what Liverpool need to do. And I think spending that cash on him is what they, is the best strategy.
So you think under the current circumstances, spending 80+ million on one midfielder is the correct decision if they're not going for Jude?
Yeah, because if you think Jude is 130, you've still got £50 million to get 2 or 3 players.
But let's not forget that they rejected 80 million. In January, like this it's not he could easily be up and around that fee, given that Brighton have him on and they extended his contract post that January window.
Yeah, he signed a 4.5-year contract in March. He's only 21 years of age, and of course they rejected numerous bids, as you said, from Arsenal.
£80 million reported.
That is going to be the issue. I think we all agree he's a quality player. I remember his game against Man United. He's brilliant. He's been great this season, but that is going to be a factor. The price tag is not going to be cheap.
We don't know that there's not a release clause in that new contract. Why would Caicedo sign a new contract if there's not a release clause in? So there'll be a release clause at a certain point. I think Liverpool need to exercise that for Caicedo because I think he'll fix a lot of their midfield problems.
Okay.
But don't worry, I've got a cheaper option.
OK, well, let's get to those next midfield options because I think we can all agree Liverpool probably need more than the one midfielder, don't they, this coming summer? They wanted to sign a midfielder last summer, they want to sign one this summer. So who is the second midfield suggestion?
My next midfield suggestion is staying Brighton, Alexis McAllister.
Okay.
And I think if we're going for the more attacking role of the midfield, a man with 8 goals in the Premier League, he's clinical from the penalty spot. He's got 5 goals out of 5, hasn't missed one, so he could definitely push Salah after missing 2 in a row. I think he's a great engine. We saw him brilliantly in a midfield 3 for Argentina with De Paul. So I just think it's the same sort of system, high pressing under Jurgen Klopp. We could see that happening again where he would fit the role. And yeah, I think there's a lot he can add, and that's the main reason why they're so linked with him.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what will happen, isn't it? With it 6.9 million Brighton signed him for. Again, Brighton's recruitment.
It's incredible.
These two for £10 million per se.
Yeah.
Caicedo and McAllister,
Bonkers.
now the midfield too.
I actually went back and watched Caicedo Independiente del Val a few weeks ago, and he was absolutely outstanding. So Man United have had a stinker there. So I was going to actually bring a defensive midfielder and put it in there, but obviously you went with McAllister, goal-scoring midfielder. So 8 goals, 5 from the penalty spot, only 3 from open play. If Liverpool want goals from midfield, Gabri Veiga at Celta Vigo could be the perfect player. So we're looking at young box-to-box midfielders, 20 years old. His quality is in his ability off the ball. Third man runs absolutely exquisite, and that's obviously something in the modern game, a third man run to score a goal. 9 goals in La Liga in terms of central midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues. Only Odegaard scored more goals. You look, he's in the top 1% for goals, non-penalty XG. You're looking at goal-creating actions following a carry. This guy is very, very good at driving through the midfield with the ball at his feet. He's very, very big as well. For a Spanish midfielder, he's stocky. He just fit into the Premier League. His game is not rounded, needs to improve. His passing needs to improve. Sometimes he's a bit over-aggressive. But the other thing that he's got is the pressing. It's infectious at times when he squeezes the ball at Celta Vigo. That is exactly what Liverpool want. And I think you get the issue with McAllister. So if Caicedo's 80 million, McAllister's 80 million. They're both at that level. They're absolutely both at the same level.
Why is he not World Cup winner coming off the back of another stunning season? Why is he not the same value as Caicedo?
Well, Caicedo was rejected for 80 million, so he's plus that. And we haven't had a bid for McAllister yet, but what's expected is meant to be lower because he is an older player as well, so he's got less years. So that price tag is still going to be very high, I admit, but I don't think it's going to be 80 plus. We'll see, but I think I love the knowledge that you have with your players because I can't comment. I was just
thinking that when he said of Jaeger, when he did all those stats, Theo was going, well, I don't know much about him. I don't have anything to say because they're so impressive.
Fair play. I mean, of course, the obvious answer for me to say is Premier League proven all the way down. Instant reaction. They could go into the team.
I'm disappointed you said that, Thogden.
Yeah, with you.
Because players have come to the Premier League previously and massively excelled.
They've excelled, but also it's a risk as well with...
Absolutely, but the issue with the spend, Gabri Veiga is going to be very, very cheap compared to McAllister. You're going to get value, getting goals. It's the same profile as midfielder, as you mentioned, and something that Klopp can work with. But 20 years old is something to mould, and that's where Liverpool should be going.
Yeah, I like that. And it's good that we're comparing them at the same time as well, because they're similar style players at different parts of their career, so we can show both options. So it's interesting for Liverpool.
Let's go to the next one.
Okay, so don't forget this is the top 5 players that Liverpool need to sign. You've got 2 players remaining, so let's see who you pick, because you haven't agreed on one player yet, which is quite interesting.
No, I'm not sure. We'll go defensive midfielder again.
Defensive midfielder. Another DM.
Yeah, it's up to you, mate. Your list.
We'll go with Sangare. Of course, we've had Wesley Sneijder, we've had Nico Gaitan, players that have been linked with Man United for about 20 years. He's a similar player, but he's evolved. You know, he's moved away from being that aggressive Paulinho-style aggressive player. He sits at the base of midfield. Reminds me a little bit of when Yaya Touré played for Barcelona at the base of midfield, where his feet were really good, could slip pressure really well, and would play in quite like a slow tempo style. He wouldn't be my number one choice by a mile, but he'd be available for a lot less money than Caicedo. So it's just another option in there for Liverpool to look at to balance the books in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, ball recoveries, tackles, interceptions, carrying out from pressure. There's a lot of quality to him, and you know, he's at 25 now. He's played his best performance this season of coming to Champions League. He'd be a decent option.
Very interesting. I've actually gone for a centre-half. I've gone for Kim Min-jae.
I can't argue with this, unfortunately, guys.
Why?
Because I love Kim Min-jae.
Yeah.
You love him, I know.
Napoli selections earlier.
And as you said earlier
Yeah.
on the show, Dave, he's the best up-and-coming centre-back in Europe, and any club that gets him has an absolute Rolls-Royce of a player for years to come. He's got everything going for him. He's been brilliant in the league and in Europe. I think if they can buy him, it completely changes their defence, and you surely agree.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It's just, what do you do with the defence? Like, is it Konate with Kim Min-jae? Is it Van Dijk with Kim Min-jae? That's the only issue, but I think he's a brilliant
Do you
player.
think Liverpool need then another centre-back?
I agree, yeah, I think they do, yeah. But I would deal with the midfield and right-back first because they're the more pressing issues right now. But I think the centre-back is another issue that's not getting talked about. Virgil van Dijk's levels have been nowhere near 2019.
OK, so you just said then you need another midfielder. Have you both got another midfielder
I do.
Yes.
to bring to the table?
The last pick to turn Liverpool's fortunes around. Who are you going with? Go on, let's
No,
see.
this guy plays for Feyenoord, 22 years old. Do
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Orkan Kokcu.
Yeah, Kokcu, absolute baller, by the way. I'm going to put him on the list. 22 years old. You said a more realistic signing. They are linked with him.
Yeah.
And I've watched him live a couple times, and people think he's a 10 because of the number on the back of his shirt. It's completely wrong. He's a centre mid. He can also play holding. And it's the work he does. He's intensive. The Dutch league is very high pressing, the way Feyenoord play. And he can handle that, and that's something that Klopp likes to go with. He's also someone who scores a lot of goals from range. He's got 5 goals outside the box this season, more than any other player in the Dutch league. I saw one of them live at PSV Feyenoord, but it's not just that. It's not what he can add from outside the box. It's also he plays the ball around. He's a playmaker. He runs the show. I think he's young as well. He's got many years to come. I think he'd be around the price range of about 40 million. If they could pick him up for that, it completely changes their midfield. Lots of youthful energy to come through.
It's interesting you've gone for Kokcu, and I think you're about to say Enzo Lefebvre, aren't you?
Yeah.
And there's no Mason Mount in either of the fives here, given they are heavily linked with Mason Mount.
I'm happy we haven't gone with Mount.
Reportedly going to leave at the end of the season because his contract's up in 2024, of course. But neither of you.
I don't think it's the right move. I think they need to go
Why
back to
not?
recruiting players from all over Europe, getting the players that are young, that are talented, that need to prove themselves. Mason Mount's a fantastic player, don't get me wrong. I just don't think it suits Liverpool right now. Where does he play for Liverpool? Does he play as the 8? Does he play in the forward line? There's still that kind of discrepancy there. I just don't know if it suits the style. Liverpool need energy in midfield, and I think you're looking at Enzo Lefebvre as a player that has that energy. 120 tackles plus interceptions in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. He's the 7th most tackles in all the competitions. Set pieces, delivery. He's got that silky ability on the ball, that extra little bit of time. And when you look at Kokcu compared to him, I think there's a mobility issue there. I watched him a lot this season. One thing that suits Liverpool is he's very direct. You know, you talk Bruno Fernandes being direct at times. Yeah. This guy literally will look for a through ball at every opportunity. Yeah. So not right for a City, not right for a Man United. Right for Liverpool, yes. But I think Enzo Lefebvre has a little bit more quality on the ball.
OK, so that is confirmation of
Some
Theo
interesting
and
names
Dave's
there.
5. Yeah.
Enjoyed that.
Let us know. I did as well. Great insight as well, I've got to say. Let us know what you think. Who has the better 5 to turn Liverpool's fortunes around? Enjoyed that.